Daniel chapter 7. This is the chapter that I was reading when I was in prison, and I read it and I said, whoa, I have been taught something that's not true. For 40 years, I have believed something that's not true. And I'll show you what happened. Here's what got me right here. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. Now remember the last chapter we were talking about, they're already in Persia. So now chapter 7 is a flashback to, earlier when they were in Babylon. So it's not in sequence, it's not in time sequence in the book of Daniel. So he's going back 15, 20 years, whatever. First year of Belshazzar. Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. I think almost everybody who does Bible commentaries and stuff will say that this means there was 4 different groups of people fighting, and the great sea is probably a reference to the sea of humanity. This is typically the interpretation, and I agree with that, okay? There's going to be 4 fighting, a war, coming from 4 different sides upon the great sea. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Now this is symbolism about coming out of the sea of humanity. 4 great beasts, 4 great world powers are going to arise out of the sea of humanity is what I think is the obvious interpretation here. So there are many problems. People disagree and have disagreed for centuries on what this passage means. I'm going to tell you the big picture. I'm a teacher. I like to put things down simple where the 4th graders can get it, okay? I'm not going to try to confuse anybody. There are 3 theories, basic theories, about what this passage means that we're about to read. One theory says it's already passed. It happened. These 4 kingdoms, this big war, took place back here around the time of Christ. And they'll cite the Babylonian Empire and the Persians and the Greeks and the Romans and say, see, it already happened. That is one theory. Now, I will tell you, people get dogmatic on this kind of stuff and get angry for even suggesting there might be another theory. Oh, because they've been teaching theirs for 50 years, and got books out on the topic, and they don't want to lose their money. Second theory says it's future. It hasn't happened yet, none of it. Still coming. Third theory says it's both. There are many, many things in the Bible that have a dual meaning. For instance, Adam, his wife Eve, came from his side. Well, the bride of Christ comes from the side of Jesus being pierced on the cross. The Noah's Ark was pierced in the side when it slid down and hit the rock formation, I believe. There are many times there are double or triple or quadruple applications. Abraham, the father, sent his servant to get a bride for Isaac, his son, in Genesis 24. God the Father sent the Holy Spirit to get a bride for Jesus Christ down here in the world. I mean, the symbolism is on, hundreds of examples in the Bible. I think this is another one. There's 2 meanings. I think there may have been a partial fulfillment of this vision we're about to read, Daniel's vision, back here at the time of Daniel. But I think the primary meaning is still future. And I have people write me and text me and say, oh, Hovind, you're wrong. It's already been fulfilled. It's over with. They take what's called the preterist view. It's already happened. It's all done. I disagree. Now, verse number 4. This would be the first of the 4 beasts. He's talking about 4 beasts. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Well, those who teach that this is past will say, this is Nebuchadnezzar. His symbol was a lion with eagle's wings. So, and that's true. You can see the ancient Babylonian walls. It has a lion with eagle's wings. And they'll say, see, Hovind, it's obvious. It's already passed. Well, I agree that was his symbol, and I agree it probably has that meaning, but I think there's more. And they'll say, well, Persia is the bear, that was their symbol, and we'll go through the 4 animals in just a minute. So they'll say, it's all past. Well, it's true, it had a past fulfillment, but there's another one coming. England today Their symbol is a lion standing on its feet, standing up on 2 feet. That's today. England didn't exist in the time of Nebuchadnezzar. America has the eagle, a lion with eagle's wings. I think one of the powers at the end of time is going to be an American-English alliance, and the eagle's wings are going to be plucked, right? I think America is going to cease to be a world power. I think we've about borrowed ourselves into destruction, and those who own the debt are going to just call in the debt and collapse our economy. And we're going to be like a third world country. Just my theory on that. Now, England has the lion with eagle's wings all over the place. Here's an English coin from the 1800s showing two standing lions. The lion stood on his feet like a man. And the lion with eagle's wings. Just Google it. It's all over the internet. The lion with eagle's wings. The second beast, he says in verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear. And it raised itself up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. A bear with 3 ribs in its mouth. What is this? Well, what country today has as their symbol the bear? Russia. Don't they?
Yeah.
And I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had on the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. And the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. The third beast, so you got a lion with eagle's wings, a bear with 3 ribs in his mouth, a leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings on his back. When I got to the fourth beast, though, this one is what I've lost a lot of sleep praying and studying over. What is this fourth beast? It doesn't even give it the name of an animal. It doesn't say it's like a kangaroo or a giraffe. It just says a beast. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. What is Daniel seeing? What is he trying to describe to us here? And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. What on earth is this? This fourth beast has 10 horns. One of the horns comes up, plucks up 3 more horns, and the horn has eyes and can talk like a man. Verse number 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. I think almost everybody agrees that's God. God says, that's it, we're done. I'm going to sit down, Judgment Day. You all gather around. I've got a record of every word you've ever said, every thought you ever thunk, and every deed you ever did. Come here, boys and girls. We're gonna have to talk. Daddy is about to become judge. Okay. The Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like the pure wool. His throne was in the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. I don't know what he's seeing here, but I'll just read you the passage and give you the Hovind theory. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. And by the way, in my book I wrote on this topic, what on earth is about to happen. I go through all these verses and all the detail on this. If you want to get some of these, call our bookstore 855 Big Dino, where this is my dissertation that I did for another doctor's degree on topic. This one's on the topic of end times. 10,000 times 10,000, that's mentioned again in Revelation, chapter 5, I believe. What is 10,000 times 10,000? 100 million. 100 million people stood before him. Now we see later, these are the ones who were killed. What on earth could happen to cause 100 million people to die for their faith? One world government, and Christians won't cooperate. There are 500 million people today who claim the name Christian, but only 100 million are going to stand before the Lord. What does that mean? Most are fake. They're not Christian. They just got the name, or they're not going to be martyred anyway. And judgment was set, and the books were opened. You see the same kind of wording in the book of Revelation. At the end of the book of Daniel, we'll see at the end of Daniel chapter 12, he says basically, Lord, I don't understand what I just wrote. I wrote what you told me, but I don't understand all this. God says, that's fine, you're done, put the pen down. This is for later. And then John, 600 years later, picks up the pen on the Isle of Patmos where he's been exiled as a prisoner and finishes and writes the book of Revelation. So to study the future, you really got to start with Daniel, with this vision right here, chapter 7. And then again, chapter 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll get into those as we can. Verse 11, I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away. Dominion would be their authority as king or rulers. Yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. What is this? There are 4 great beasts. The 4th one is not even given the name of an animal, but that one's going to be taken away. The other ones just get their dominion taken away, but their lives are prolonged. Verse 13, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man, capital S. This is Jesus Christ. Came with the clouds of heaven. Remember when Acts chapter 1, Jesus was going up into heaven in a cloud, and the disciples were standing there gawking at him, and 2 angels came and said, guys, what are you doing? This same Jesus, which is taken up from you, shall come in like manner as ye have seen him go. You've seen him go up in a cloud, he's coming back in a cloud. You read that in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, you read that in Matthew chapter 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. There are many references, Jesus Christ coming in the cloud. The coming in the clouds. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 14 verses. They're all right here on the chart. He's coming in the clouds. And came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. There's coming a time when everybody in the world serves Jesus Christ. This, I believe, we'll see it later on, is the 1,000-year kingdom of Jesus on earth. All the nations have to serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Okay? I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. Have you ever had a dream or vision that troubled you? Like, what on earth does this mean? I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. And here's where it gets interesting. These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Now, one argument is, for this all being future, is he said they shall arise out of the earth. Well, this dream took place during the time of the Babylonian Empire, and they were already on the earth. So the argument would be this is obviously future, not present tense fulfilled. As I said, I think it has both meanings. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So I read that and I thought, okay, let's see now. There are 4 great beasts. They're going to fight. The whole world's going to be in world war. And the saints are going to take the kingdom. Simple enough. You got 2 things happening. Big war, saints take the kingdom. Verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse, that means different, like diversity, from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. I stopped when I was reading my Bible. I said, hold it. This doesn't make any sense. Because a couple verses ago it said the saints take the kingdom. But now it says he makes war with the saints and he wins. He beats them. How can this be? How can the saints take the kingdom and then 2 verses later he makes war with the saints and overcomes them? 22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. I said, Lord, what is going on? They're taking the kingdom again? They take the kingdom, they get prevailed against, they take the kingdom. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth. which shall be diverse from all kingdoms. There's nothing like this kingdom. And shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings, that shall arise, and shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. I said, now, here we go again. They take the kingdom, they get beat up. They take the kingdom, now they're getting worn out. Again, the saints are, what is happening here, Lord? I don't understand. You ever read part of the Bible and say, I don't understand what I just read? Daniel 7 got me on my knees for days and for weeks. Lord, what is this? And think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. Now on my chart, I show right here, I don't know if you can see that, Nick, is that focused in? No. Twice in the Bible, it refers to a period of 1,260 days, which is Revelation 11 and Revelation 12. Then it's called 3.5 years. Time is a year, times is 2 years, and a dividing of a time, 3.5 years. That's in Daniel 7, Daniel 12, and Revelation 14:14, or 12:14. Then sometimes it's called 42 months. I think all three, which all works out to be 42 months, 1,260 days, using a 360-day year, which is probably what the prophetic year was. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 references in the Bible to a period of 3.5 years. And this is the way of saying 3.5 years. Time, times, and the dividing of a time. 3.5 years. And they're all right here on the chart. You can study that. Okay. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it unto the end. Oh, I thought the guy was already destroyed. Now he's being destroyed again. And I realized this is like a paint job. You know, when they do a good paint job on a car, they go over it whoosh, real fast, real thin. Come back again, second coat, whoosh, real fast, real thin. You want to build it up in layers, right? He's telling the story, then he's telling it again, adding new detail with each layer. It's not a contradiction. So I put the verses side by side. Daniel chapter 7, verse 2 through 14 is in the, if you get my book at the back, you'll see this chart in here. This is the conclusion I came to, and I realized this is what the church has always taught for 2,000 years, until some 15-year-old girl had a dream in Scotland in 1830 and changed everything. But you got the verses from Daniel chapter 7 and these 3 columns side by side. I'll blow them up on screen here for you, but you can get them in the book. So Daniel 7, 15 through 18, there are 4 great beasts right there, and the saints take the kingdom. There are 4 great beasts, the saints get prevailed against, and then they take the kingdom. They're adding a detail in the middle. It's true, there's 4 beasts and the saints take the kingdom, but they left out one detail that happened in the middle. Well, you get beat up for a while, and then you take the kingdom. There's a time of tribulation. Same thing in this chapter. In this chapter, verse 23. The 4th beast is in Daniel 7:23, and they shall be given into his hand. They're going to, there it is, bigger yet. So the part about the saints being prevailed against and being taken and being beaten up is mentioned twice, and it's coming, but this blue box is the same thing, and this purple box is the same thing. This is taking the kingdom, taking the kingdom, taking the kingdom. So everything on my chart is color coordinated with these colors over here. The day of the Lord, the purple, the king taking the kingdom. We'll see that later. And so this timeline in the book is same thing here on the thing, is the sequence of events that I see. There is a 7-year period coming called the time of tribulation. We'll see that when we get to chapter 9, Wednesday. Hopefully we'll get that far. And then there's a 1,000-year day of the Lord, the millennium. 1,000 years. Milli means 1,000, like a millipede or millimeter. In the middle of this 7-year period, Antichrist is going to break the treaty. We'll get into all that in chapter 9. So I think there are going to be 4 great kingdoms. Here's the Hovind theory. America-England alliance is going to be one of the great kingdoms. America is the eagle, England is the lion, a lion with eagle's wings, and we're going to be plucked. The eagle's wings are plucked, and the lion stands on its feet like a man. There's an old cartoon which always had England as the lion for hundreds of years. America as the eagle. By the way, when our founding fathers were discussing what should be our national bird, does anybody know what Ben Franklin recommended?
He wanted a turkey.
He wanted a turkey. That's correct. Okay. And it missed being the turkey by one vote. Yeah, okay. Now, Hovind theory, I think the second kingdom, the bear, is Russia. And it's got 3 ribs in its mouth in the vision. I think Russia is going to conquer 3 of its neighbors. Ukraine, Moldova, Belarus, Lithuania, Latvia, I don't know who. But it's got the 3 ribs in the mouth, what's left over, still chewing on them. I just suspect on one side of Russia, it's going to conquer 3 nations. That's my interpretation. And I'm careful in my book to say this is my theory. Here's why I believe that. You can read it for yourself and see what you think. I wouldn't preach it dogmatically. I think the third, the beast that has the leopard with 4 wings on its back and 4 heads, is probably going to be some kind of Asian alliance. I think we're going to see Japan, maybe South Korea, China. Can you imagine if they got together what a powerhouse economically that would be?
China and Russia.
China. Oh yeah.
I think it's all going to be about money.
It will be.
I think the fourth kingdom. I used to teach it's the Roman Empire because that's what I was taught in the Schofield Bible, and nobody questions the Schofield Bible, you know. I don't think that's true at all. I think it's Islam.
Oh yeah.
Here are the countries today that are controlled by Muslims. That little bitty red dot right there is Israel. Hovind theory. There will be 10 Muslim nations that surround Israel and hate Israel. They will be the 10 kings that unite to form a kingdom. There's no animal to describe it. It's fierce. It doesn't care. It doesn't have any compassion at all. They'll cut the heads off of babies, don't they?
Yes.
Sure, no problem. Cut the head off.
They do.
He's an infidel. He's a Christian. So somebody sent me a link on the internet of them killing a bunch of young 2, 3, 4-year-olds. Why are you killing these babies? Well, they're Christians.
Yep. They're doing it right now.
Doing it right now. Happening now. I think 10 of them will get together in an alliance. One of those, maybe the king or whatever they call him, potentate of Turkey or some country like that, will rise up, pluck up 3 others around him, and there'll be 4 of them join into a little alliance. We're going to see. And the 2 legs of iron on the statue that we talked about the other night in Daniel chapter 2, I was always taught it's the Roman Empire, Eastern and Western branch, and I taught that for 40 years. That's what I was told. I think it's the 2 different types of Muslims, Sunni and Shia. They hate each other, but they hate us worse.
Yes, they do.
They're going to unite long enough to try to conquer the world, and then they'll fight with each other when it's over with. They're going to unite to fight Israel, and when they almost get it conquered, they'll start fighting among themselves because they hate each other. There are 10 toes on the beast, iron and clay. Iron won't mix with clay. Those 2 kind won't mix. Just Hovind theory. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me. Cogitation is thinking. He said, man, I was thinking about this and I was troubled. And my countenance changed, but I kept the matter in my heart. He said, man, this vision made me troubled. Lord, what does this mean? Well, my cogitations troubled me too over all this, and I slowly began to realize the reason I was having trouble fitting the pieces together, I was looking at the wrong puzzle box. I was trying to get everything to fit into a pre-trib rapture, and it's just not true. We'll see when we get to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the rapture comes after the tribulation. I was guilty of confusing tribulation and wrath. They're not the same. I was confusing day of Christ and day of the Lord. They're not the same. Get a King James Bible. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 says the day of Christ cannot come until there's a falling away. All the other versions change it to say day of the Lord. 1 Thessalonians 2:2. Little subtle change that makes a gigantic difference in the theology. Check your Bible. 2 Thessalonians 2:2. Is it day of Christ or day of the Lord? Day of Christ is mentioned 7 times. They're all right here on the chart. It's always referring to the rapture. That's the day we're caught out of. That's the day of Christ. It's a one day, one moment, poof, gone. Day of the Lord is a 1,000-year period. So they changed it in 2 Thessalonians 2 and the other Bible versions to say day of the Lord because it doesn't fit the theology because they believe in the pre-trib rapture. But it's clear, it says the day of Christ cannot come until there's a falling away and the man of sin is revealed. So the rapture can't take place until after the falling away and the man of sin is revealed, which is he's revealed in the middle of the 7-year period. So they just changed their Bible to fit their theology. I think you'd be smarter to change your theology to fit the Bible. Knowing this first, there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? The coming of the Lord. For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. The first thing the scoffers are ignorant of is the creation. I've preached on that for 40 years now. The second thing they're ignorant of is the flood, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. I preached on that for 40 years. But the third one I didn't preach on much, because I wasn't sure. But the heavens and the earth which are now by the same word, that would be the word of God, are kept in store, reserved unto fire, against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. The scoffers are ignorant of the creation, they're ignorant of the flood, and they're ignorant of the coming judgment. And that's what I want to cover in the rest of this whole series, on the Woe series. What on earth is about to happen? What's coming next? Daniel 7 is where you have to start. And then we'll get into 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and see what the Bible teaches about the future. What on earth is about to happen, for heaven's sake? I think we're real close, folks. I'm going to pick a wild number and guess that this time of tribulation starts in less than 3 years. They're already ready to make everybody get a microchip. They're already ready to rebuild their temple. You see all the pieces are lining up. It is like, whoa.
There's a company in Wisconsin that 40 of their employees already done it.
40 employees in Wisconsin already got a microchip. Yep. Coming like a freight train. We shall see.